welcome to the channel. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Join me today for the second video in where I will review two watches as I did in the last video. And the reason is for the AliExpress sale. Now make sure you guys check out the coupons because that's what this sale is all about. From a few prices that I've checked from when I unboxed these a couple of weeks ago to now, there isn't any change. If anything, they've gone up slightly, and then the on sale price is being shown as what it was a couple of weeks ago. So this is where the coupons are going to come in and you're going to save a lot more money. So the two watches I'm looking at today is on my right, we've got the Hroudland F016. I'll spend some time with that. I can give you my thoughts on this. And then to my left, the rather bright and colorful, we've got the Milifortic R087. So let's make a start with the Rudland. So this is, as I said, the F016. Now I'm going to put the specifications up on screen along with the dimensions, and I'll talk you through a few key points. Now with this, it's got your basic and standard specifications. The one thing that this has, which I've never seen before, I've never had my hands on before, is the movement. So the movement is a mechanical hand wind. It's a ST3620. The thing with Seagull movements, there are hundreds and thousands of variants, and unfortunately a lot of them are quite ambiguous. So if I want to test this movement, I'll have to do it the old school way, which is put it on wrist and then time it over a 24-hour period. But on the time grapher, you can't really get a realistic sort of reading because things like the lift angle are unknown. So I can't comment on the accuracy. I can only show you what I'm getting. But if the if the lift angle is incorrect, then it's pointless because those numbers don't mean anything. But the movement is a very pretty movement to look at, and I believe it's based or cloned off a very old mechanical hand winding Swiss movement, which most of the Seagulls are. And what you get is very kind of minimal decoration. You do see some of that striping or feathering on the case back. There are versions of these movements which are highly skeletonized and highly decorated, which look awesome. I mean, that for a balance wheel, look at the size of that. I mean, it's the biggest balance wheel I've ever seen. And you've got a little sort of arrow there, which you can regulate. You'll see the plus and minus. It's a 17 joule movement, and hopefully I already wound it, but you can see the gears winding away. You've got the blued screws, a few rubies there, which it just adds to the decoration. But it's a very large see-through case back, so you can see that movement. Now my most favorite feature about the watch is obviously that turbine, totally befitting the theme. But again, because it's homaging, you know, the big Pilot 43mm, which the centerpiece at the 6 is actually a tourbillon. They've gone with just basically making a custom seconds hand, putting a little red dot on there, which is very like the watch that is homaging. And then you've got also that tiny red accent just above the sub dial, just at the 12 o'clock, where again it matches up with the red on the turbine. So of course it's a very cool design. It's a very cool homage because God knows how expensive the real watch is. But yeah, I mean, Rudland are known for making really well made watches. They are usually priced up. They were in the 150 to 180 sort of category, if not even over £200. But this one, I think it has been out a while, so it's not a new release. And this one is £116 or around £130 as well, because the choice deal is 116 and the normal price is about 130, which I think is quite reasonable, you know, given the specifications. And from what I can see with the quality of the watch, I think it's in line with what they're asking. In terms of colors and, you know, different variants available, you've got this sort of subdued dark blue sunray dial, heavy gradient, so you know it's almost black under certain angles, and then in the right shade or the right light it comes up as a very nice deep blue. Then you also got a black dial, but they've also got another two variants where you've got text and no text, so the branding. So I went with the sterile, let's say, because with this dial setup I don't think you need all that text unless you wanted it, because you've got the Arabics, you've got the extra large sort of 5-minute markers. You've also got that loomed triangular pip, you know, that with the two dots on either side, and you've got these large tapered hands as well. So there's a lot going on. So I think you can really get away with having a sterile dial and just kind of focuses on the watch. I think another good thing about this is it's not my usual size of watches that I wear. This is big 42.5 or call it 43 mil. And the lug slug is 51.5, so yeah, significantly bigger. So for the big wristed guys, it's going to be a much better fit. Now looking at it closer at the dial, you'll see the 5-minute markers are actually applied with that polished silver frame and filled in with lume. And your Arabics are actually, how can I say, printed onto the dial. So there's a few layers there because they are slightly raised off that dial. Then you've got a fully polished handset, very crisp. And yeah, it does come across as a very high-end handset, to be fair. And then you've got that sort of satin brushed turbine in the center. And I'm guessing that must be potentially hand painted or maybe on machine, but yeah, the paint on there hopefully doesn't come off. In terms of lume, yeah, adequate, not super punchy. What you see, what I do like is that everything that's printed on the dial or applied is actually lume. So you can see that triangle at the 12. You can see also those 1 minute intervals, the hands also. Now the Arabics are slightly duller than the rest, but that's about it. Like I said, very adequate, very decent for a pilot watch. Another thing which I like about this case is that slim bezel. I don't like static bezels that are too big or they're overpowering the watch. This with this bezel having a high slope and being very thin really does emphasize the whole dial area. Now the bezel itself does have a two-stage sort of finishing. You've got the polishing on the top and then that bit of brushing along the bottom. Now the case is exceptionally well finished as well. So the case does have that circular smooth brushing with a very fine grain, and then you've got those polished bevels which do separate the lug A face to the side of the case. And then along the side of the case you'll find a very soft and satin brushing, and it's done to perfection, right? Machine brushed. There is no imperfections, no inconsistencies, and in hand when you feel these surfaces it does come across as a very high quality piece. Now another feature here, which is definitely a standout feature, is that extra large crown. Now it's not, is it a tulip or onion? I get them mixed up, but yeah, I think it's a tulip crown potentially, but large deep splines, and you've got that sort of plain logo on there, and yeah, ample grip. You're not going to go wrong with that. I will say one thing though, along the case, on the underside of those lugs, that is quite a sharp edge. So when you run your fingers, run your skin against it, you can definitely feel that there's a bit of friction there, and obviously it needs to have just a bit of final sort of finishing on there, a bit of deburring if you will, just to take off that very sharp edge. Now I also want to talk a little bit about the leather strap that this watch comes on, because if you have seen some of the much cheaper, let's say pilot watches or Flieger watches, etc., sometimes they do try to copy this pilot strap, and the poor quality straps, they don't really feel that nice. They've got some stitching, but you know, they are about to break apart. This one on the other hand, from Rudland, is very thick. It's also a is it called semi-aniline or something, where you've got that sort of grain present on the skin, and then you also got these rivets, which is a nice touch. Definitely gives it that authentic vibe. Yeah, nice large buckle as well, fully polished with the logo. But yeah, that strap does absolutely complete the watch. I mean, it matches, it's definitely in line with the theme, and as a homage and execution, I think they've done amazingly well. As I mentioned about those sharp edges, that is the only fault there. So let's move on from this and let's head on over to the Milifortic. So this very vibrant tangerine purple Milifortic, yeah, I showed it to you in the unboxing. Now the price for this is a little bit more than what it was when I unboxed it, but it equals that at £91 in the sales, which is a pretty respectable price given the specifications that you can see on screen and the dimensions. You get the full sapphire, you get screw down crown, 100 meters of water resistance, and you get a different movement now. So we can see Milifortic and maybe other brands, they're going to start stepping towards a lot of these VH31 quartz or hybrid quartz movements, because I mentioned in the unboxing, the NH35 has doubled in price due to, you know, whatever reason there. So this is where all the brands that we saw using the NH35, you know, day in, day out, they're going to start experimenting with different movements. We've also seen a switch back to the Miyota 8215. So VH31, obviously it's light, it's accurate, very reliable, a very clean dial as well. No date window there. For some people that want that functionality, you can't get it in this. But yeah, that dial is super vibrant. Now they've got up to, I think, 4 different colors, these sort of pastel inspired combinations. I'll put them up on screen. Yeah, so I don't know which one to pick, and this is yeah, it's going to be definitely down to each individual's taste. What I don't like is that the straps that they give, while the quality is good, they're just very generic, right? So if you're spending all that money and thought and into what is a pretty nice watch, the strap there's no thought to it at all. So there needs to be a strap provided which kind of matches this somehow, some way, and as well as the pastel colors or more options. Maybe a rubber strap to make it a little bit sportier. And in terms of the dial texture itself, yeah, it's just that crisscross pattern, a great pattern, should we say. Depth, definition, it's okay. I have seen much deeper sort of patterns when we look at, for example, Zhu Dao and brands like that. But yeah, you can definitely see the grid pattern. You also have a slight sort of fume effect. So it's lighter in the center and it gets darker towards the edge. And then on the outside of that, of course, you've got that purple contrasting minute track. And to match that, they've gone with that purple seconds. So I like that attention to detail. The hands are pretty normal. They do have a very slight chamfer to either side, but they're fully polished. No micro detailing on there, but due to the design, it does look better than standard handset. Now the lume on the watch is pretty good considering how small those markers are. BGW9, very evenly matched across the handset and the hour markers. So pretty impressed with Milifortic. I don't think I've seen a watch with bad lume from them just yet. Now the case is quite interesting on this watch as well. Milifortic, they're a sister brand from Bolton watches. They do use a lot of the same cases, but with very different aesthetics. Now this one, I don't believe I've seen this one before. And there seems to be a theme here where I've got these thin bezel watches, but they do look awesome. So you can see that case, even though it's only 38 millimeters, that thin bezel with that high slope gives you just a lot more dial area, making it appear slightly bigger. Polishing yet done to perfection, mirror perfection. The lugs, they are a bit more, I say, tool watch like brushed, so not smooth satin brushing, but you can definitely see a coarser grain there, but very well defined. Now this type of finishing that Milifortic use does give you excellent definition along the lugs. You can really see the curvature of the case. And then when you move over to the side of the watch, there's softer brushing there. So that satin brushing that we all know and love. Crown, a decent size, it's a mid-sized crown. It does screw down and they're pretty easy to access. Smooth threads. So there's no problem there. Fully sterile, no signage there. And then the case back is also plain. So yeah, branding perspective, they do need to spend some money there to be a serious brand, and they've been around long enough, as well as Bolton, for them to have their branding present across the watch. So that is it from me today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.